Pop quiz. What do zombies, skeletons, and the Disney Lion King live action movie have in common? Reanimation, because it was reanimated, because it was like CGI'd, and then that was like, it was already animated, but then they animated it again, and they said it was live action, but it's really not live action because it was all animated anyway. It was a bit of a play on words. But just like the Disney cash grabs, reanimation in Magic the Gathering is basically fraud, but in a fun way. Let me explain. If you don't know what Reanimator is, basically, you know where the graveyard is, where all your cool stuff goes when it dies? Reanimator brings them back, like from the dead. And that's the whole point. Now, under normal circumstances, white-collar crime like fraud gets you arrested and sent to jail until you get out for good behavior because you're probably just a middle-aged white man. But in Magic the Gathering, it's actually really fun and for everybody. So, obviously, it's just like life. All the cool stuff in Magic is really expensive and costs a lot of money. But this is Magic we're talking about. We don't use money to play the game. We use mana costs. So how do we use fraud? Well, let's look at Massacre Worm. It's dope. It's 6 mana, though, and that's expensive. We want to play this card, but it's too much mana pretty much all the time. Now, riddle me this. What if Massacre Worm was only 1 mana thanks to Reanimate and only 6 life? So 1 mana, 6 life. Wait a second. That's really good. That's the art of the deal right there. What about Dread Return? That's 4 mana, and you get something back. Or you just get it for free, sacrificing 3 creatures. That's really good. That's a good deal. Unburial Rites is like 5 mana, but other times 4 mana. Then we got Persist, which is just straight up 2 mana, 2 mana, 2 mana. That's a thermodynamic law, because we're turning some mana into way more mana, because we're reanimating really big creatures. And that's what it's all about. Which is why it's even more fun to run Reanimation as commanders. Take a look at the Scarab God. You've probably seen him, but he's awesome. 5 mana for a 5/5 that on your upkeep does this whole thing about zombies, which is just gravy. But mainly we care about the 4 mana, exile a thing from a graveyard. You get a token copy of it. That's a 4/4 zombie. So you're reanimating from any graveyard. You get to full-on pickpocket our opponents of their coolest stuff, Art of the Steal. Am I right? What about Gengar, Sire of Famine? Basically, you pay 3 mana, 6 blood, and you get each creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter as a vampire. Yeah, you just get to resurrect your entire graveyard for the low, low price of like some blood and mana, and it's really awesome, really cool. What about Marin of Clan Neltoth? Straight up dope. 4 mana, 3/4. When stuff dies, we get experience counters, which now means we have scaling reanimation. Yeah, if it's less than or equal to the number of experience counters, we get it back onto the battlefield. Otherwise, it goes into our hand. Usually, we can do some cheese if we're evil with like Spore Frog to make us immune to damage most of the time, or like Plague Crafter and Accursed Marauder type effects to make everybody discard things and, you know, have a bad time. But don't do that. That's not the fun way to reanimate, in my opinion. It's all about bringing back big things, baby. It's really cool. Now, of course, there are 2 paths you can go as a reanimation deck. The first path is, of course, building around 1 card that we're going to reanimate and cycle over and over again. And yeah, it's probably going to be Grey Merchant of Asphodel because you drain everybody and gain a lot of life. It's a good win con. But to make sure it's reliable, you tutor it into the graveyard over and over again. And it's kind of boring. Or we go with the big Swarm Tactics Walking Dead style. We get the Seppi Primordial, who goes and resurrects more stuff from our opponents. We got Kefka, who resurrects stuff from our opponents. We got Gyruda, who steals stuff from our opponents if it's got an even mana cost. Either way, stealing stuff from our opponents is really fun. And in my opinion, a good Reanimator deck has a mix of both. That's the kind of ideal way to do it. You got a big creature, a couple big creatures for you to reanimate from your graveyard, but if they have big budgets and they got big scary creatures, well, then it's fun to steal their stuff too. That's what it's all about, which is why I think the Scarab God is kind of my favorite because he's the GOAT. And you throw in a little training grounds, all of a sudden that activated ability is now 2 less, and for 2 mana, we are off to the races. Reanimating stuff. Just kidding. Pause. Riddle me piss, Batman. What if our graveyard is so empty that it's like a jar with nothing in it? Well, in that case, we're going to need to go full Amish on them. And what I mean by that, we need a mill because they like to mill, like milling grains. It's like a thing where you put stuff in the graveyard, but also like break up kernels and mill flour into wheat. Well, wheat into flour the other way. Anyway, Breach the Multiverse. 7 mana, bit expensive, but also each player mills 10 cards. And then for each player, so that's you and your 3 opponents, bing bada boom, you reanimate 4 of their biggest things. That's really good. Really awesome. Fractured Sanity is a little bit better because you can pay 3 mana. Each opponent mills 14 cards. That's pretty good. There's also Maddening Cacophony. Each opponent mills 8 cards. Of course, if you got the big baller mana, you can have each opponent mill half their library, round it up. So now your graveyard is massive and you have a lot of things to choose from. Really good. Milling people is good. Who would have thought? There's also Singularity Rupture for 6 mana. You destroy all creatures. It does one thing, and that one thing is it makes graveyards so full that it's like a jar that has something in it that's really full. That's like a really, really full jar. That's how it may. Anyway, whatever. So why should you play Reanimate? Well, you should always dream of having an opponent with an Avacyn or a Darksteel Angel or a Sarah's Emissary somewhere in their graveyard that you can reanimate, because nothing will give you a rush quite like it. But in the off chance that doesn't happen very frequently, allow me to persuade you using Ethos, Pathos, and Logos. First off, starting off with credibility. Of the top 9 most built commanders on EDH Rec, only 2 of them are not Reanimators. Now, I know they might not look like Reanimators, but trust me, all those decks are all about reanimation because they have black. Just trust me. Now, of course, moving on. Do you ever feel bad when you sacrifice your adorable little dog or little frog to save your life? Because it reminds you perhaps of your childhood pet? Or that frog you befriended in 3rd grade summer camp that everyone made fun of you for? How much would you pay to get them back? How badly would you want to relive your childhood memories? Well, why not reanimate them with Slimefoot and Squee? Or with Nethroi Apex of Death, where it mutates and returns a bunch of awesome stuff from your graveyard to the battlefield with power 10 or less, and you can go like crazy infinite with this in a bunch of crazy ways. I digress. Also, mathematically speaking, if you use Afterlife from the Loam, guess what? You paid 3 mana for 4 creatures. Now, that's a pretty good deal. What about Victimize? You pay 1 guy, and then you get 2 guys. Wait a second, 1 guy for 2 guys. Now, I'm not that good at math, but that's some good math. That's just math, all right? Would you rather have 1 kiss from a rose or multiple kisses from roses, right? That just makes sense. That's just math. Call that art of the seal. Now, you do have to be aware of Stolen Valor when it comes to the reanimation archetype. Take a look at Muldrotha the Gravetide, all right? During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. This is not the same as reanimation. Granted, definitely evil and fraud, but not the fun fraud. Why? Well, let's think about it. We're paying market value for the stuff in our graveyard. That's not what we want. Take a look at Carador Ghost Chieftain. Now, granted, he's a little fraudulent because he costs a little bit less for each creature card in our graveyard, but getting to cast a creature spell from our graveyard at full price, that's not fraud. That's just sort of like making our graveyard another hand, which is granted evil, fully evil, I understand, but it's not the same. Same thing with 6. First of all, you're in green. Just cast it already. Why do you need to do whatever? As long as it's your turn, non-land permanents have retrace. So we can discard a land card and pay their other costs. So now we're down land cards from our hands. That's even worse versions of fraud. Now, I'm not saying those commanders aren't fun. They're just not cool fun, because cool fun is all about fraud. Now, you might be wondering, how does reanimation get countered? How do I counter my friend's reanimation deck? Obviously, their deck is so powerful, it must take something incredible to counter reanimation. Okay, well, yeah, anything that exiles graveyards bones you, absolutely bones you. You need stuff in the graveyard to reanimate. So if stuff gets exiled, you actually can't reanimate, and that's not fun. Also, reanimation can be kind of slow because sometimes you'll have a handful of awesome reanimation spells, but nothing to reanimate, just empty graves, and that's not fun. Or you'll have a massive graveyard full of, your entire deck, but then your hand is just more ways to mill and no way to reanimate anything back, and that could be bad too. But honestly, bad hands happen to everyone, so that's copium. Which is why, in my opinion, every deck that has black should have Sir Conrad the Grim. This guy is just so good. He's 5 mana, 5/4. Each player mills a card. Milling is good. When another creature dies, creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard. This guy deals 1 damage to each opponent. This guy will win you so many games, and you might be saying, he's 5 mana. That's kind of expensive. Have you been asleep at the wheel this entire video? The whole point of reanimation is fraud, but in a fun way. So now we can fraud out our big guy, Sir Conrad, by breaking the laws of thermodynamics and getting him back for like 2 mana, because that's the whole point of reanimation. Is you want something cool, you actually put it in your graveyard, you kill it first, and then you bring it back to life. That's just the way things work these days. It's awesome. Now, honestly, in my opinion, if you haven't played reanimation before, give it a try. It's really fun, and it can lead to really fun games because a lot of times people won't get to see all their cool creatures in their deck, but you put that into their graveyard and then you get to steal it. And that's way more fun than them getting to play it because now you've reanimated it from their deck. And yeah, it's a whole thing. Also, that's the end of the video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you subscribe, subscribe. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon, link down below. You can have custom decks built by me. I'll roast your deck on my monthly stream, Quipsandguac_ on Twitch. Give it a follow. Really fun and awesome. Also, I have sick playmats for sale on jankmats.com. Dude, they look so good. Not even glazing. They are gorgeous artworks. My goodness. And of course, I've got a Discord linked in the description down below. It's fun and free and cool. Yeah, go and check it out. Join it. What do you think? Do you like reanimation? Do you hate it? Does your pod have like so much reanimation that's not even fun? Or do you play like 2 graveyard decks and they're all milling and then reanimating each other and it's all just a big cluster mess of reanimation graveyards shenanigans? I don't know. Leave it in the comments down below. Hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.